This video is going to demonstrate rendering some kitchen materials in composition. Firstly, I'm starting with the kitchen sink, which I'm just shading with a 4B pencil, which is quite blunt, and masking off the certain areas to smudge the 4B pencil into the surface areas with a tissue. I'm just using a little post-it notes and scrap paper. If you've just got scrap paper, that's totally fine. And I will erase some reflection off that surface now at an angle on vertical surfaces and then vertically for horizontal surfaces. My light is coming from the right hand side, so this left hand surface is going to be lighter, so I need to add in a little darker tone on that right hand surface, so just putting in some more layering with my 4B pencil and smudging that in so it's a bit smoother, and then adding a little bit more to that horizontal surface. And I still need some reflection off that, otherwise it's going to look a little bit too smooth and flat. And that's looking pretty good. I just want some firm edges just to clarify some of the details, including that sink. And here I've added on a little tap, which I'm also shading in with my 4B pencil and carefully adding in, being aware of the tonal differences, wanting it to be a lot darker than the metal of the sink, as well as thinking about its reflection and the light source. Okay, so wanting a lot more contrast with this tap. And now I've noticed that the corners of the sink I want to have a little bit more of a groove in, so I've added in with my sharp HB pencil. The floor is going to be wooden, so I'm laying down a base of brown pencil at a really low angle, just a light layer before I set out the planks of the wooden flooring with a sharp dark brown pencil. This fleshy coloured pink pencil is just a guide setting up my first layer for the wood grain, which is like long lines that have a little bit of kink or curve in them. They follow one another. There's about 2 or 3 per plank, sometimes even one, and then I'm layering on that dark pencil over top to create a little bit more depth within the rendering. I want a little bit more variety of colour, so I'm adding in my orange pencil, and then I'll also add in some yellow to bring some life into the brown. Otherwise, if I keep adding in brown, it won't look too various or natural. This wood is going to be reflective, so I want to actually repeat the surface above, reflect it onto vertically down onto the wooden surface. So essentially I know where my light source is, which surfaces are going to be the darkest tone, so I'm keeping with that kind of rhythm and that rule to add in this layering over top of my base texture of the wooden floor. Now that I've finished that, I want to move on to my blue kitchen cabinetry, and with that it's got the toe kick, which has a shadow on it, and it's quite a dark blue, so these two surfaces that are parallel that I'm shading in, I want a base layer first of my nice smooth blue before I start to add in some more kind of sense of light kind of going over the surface and maybe giving a sense of it being a bit shiny, not super matte. This surface is going to be really dark, so I'm building up that tone through layers, a little bit of shadow under there, which I'll probably add some black pencil in later. And I also want that corner that I'm working on to be nice and crisp. That change of tone needs to be really dramatic. Now this surface in the middle that I haven't shaded in, it's going to reflect onto that dark surface, so I've kept that corner quite light on the darkest surface there. This top bench is going to be like some kind of dark grey material, maybe stone or something. I probably won't render this in this video, but I just want to kind of close it off and make it separate to the blue cabinetry that I'm showing you. So just fill that in and separate that, and just show again that that shadow there on that surface is quite important to kind of separate those two. It shows that there's a bit of a lip between the surface, and there's also a shadow coming down onto and casting onto that vertical surface. So we're playing with reflections and shadow being cast and bouncing around on these surfaces. This one's going to be much darker. We want that contrast to build up that sense of a light source. You can also add a bit of blue into the wood grain just to emphasize that reflection and connect that color.